Three Girl Scouts ventured to Camp Scott for the summer, but they never made it home. And some say that they still remain on that property. Welcome to Summerween Episode 2 of the Most Haunted City on Earth podcast. Yes.
Okay.
Is that us?
That's us.
Wait, what?
All right. That
Just
was
in
great,
case you were
Maddie.
confused.
That was great. All right, Maddie,
Hopefully you know you're here.
go ahead and jump on into it.
All right. My name is Madison Timmons,
I'm Chris Susi.
and we're paranormal investigators who live in the most haunted city on Earth, Savannah, Georgia.
Whether we're in the studio,
We're out in the field.
we hunt for the stories and experiences where the veil feels thin.
Shout out to our Parajunkie family on Patreon. This show is only possible with you.
And remember, this is a judgment-free circle. Your experiences matter, your questions are welcome, and the weird is normal.
So cut the lights, turn the volume up, and journey with us into the most haunted city on Earth. I'm Madison,
I'm Chris.
and welcome to the most haunted city on Earth.
Boom.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the most haunted city on Earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And I'm JT Timmons.
And today we have our second episode of our Summerween series that we will be having for, I guess, till the end of the summer, which
Rolling through the summer.
rolling through the summer.
Rolling through the
So today we're going to
summer.
be talking about Camp Scott, which was a Girl Scout camp, which is super, super creepy and disturbing. And I'm very excited to talk about this story. So before we get into that, though, we have a few announcements.
And then a ghost caught on camera.
And then a
or
ghost
two
caught
ghosts
on
caught
camera.
on camera. Sorry.
Yes. So, first announcement, like we said with last week's episode, the Willard Library investigation that we went on is live to the public, so you're able to go and watch the highlights of what we found while we were at the Willard, which was phenomenal. And it was a really great example of sometimes you catch things in post that's evidence that you weren't expecting or didn't realize you caught while you were actually investigating.
See.
And it's a good illustration of that.
Yes.
But also, along with that, we have bonus episodes coming up soon of our thoughts on horror films that are coming out and maybe some horror films that have already been created and have been out on the scene for a while. But we are going to be zooming in one of JT and I's very good friends who's also a horror film buff. And we're just going to be yakking it up about different films that are coming out and what we think, how we feel about the plot, how we feel about the paranormal lore of or actions of the characters. And our first one's going to be the new Evil Dead film. So if that's something
Evil Dead
you
burn.
like, yes. So if that's something that you like, you know where to find us. And then also, as always, joining Patreon, you'll be able to get everything first for pretty much everything we make. Also, it'll always be ad-free,
Always
which is
ad-free.
amazing.
It's the best way to support this podcast. So
And
hop
get
on
us to
in.
go do more investigations. So,
Cool.
all right. So let's go ahead and start out with Ghost Caught on Camera.
Ghost caught on camera. So this one
Ghost
comes
caught on
from
camera.
Cigarette Spaghetti.
Ah.
Ooh, love it.
Perfect. I was just what I wanted for dinner.
Yeah. And so y'all go ahead and check this out and let me know what you think.
Okay.
Go ahead and check this out and let me know what you think.
Okay. Is that a Bible?
Sure is.
That's what it looks like.
So Bibles catching on fire are usually a bad sign.
I would say so.
Is that added sound or
I
is that the
don't
sound
know.
of the
I don't-
video?
I can't do it.
What can I do to make it stop? Install sprinklers, man. Fill them with holy water.
Well, so
So they said the book got thrown off.
the book got thrown off. That's the Bible that got thrown off, what, the day before or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it got lit on fire, but did not burn.
Spontaneously combusting Bibles are never a good sign.
Yeah.
Somebody wants the Bible gone.
That's
Yeah.
the title of my memoir.
Spontaneously combusting Bibles
That is
are
such a
never
long
good.
title.
JT loves a long title.
He does love a long title. It's true.
So,
I do like long titles.
You do.
The most haunted city on earth. Like, who
Yeah,
the
it just
fuck
rolls
came up
off the
with that?
tongue, doesn't it?
literally. Yeah, that is great concern. Of great concern.
Yeah, it's very odd. I don't like it. I'm not an advocate of book burning. Let's start there. Secondly, it was a strange flame.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like maybe a butane flame, or
right?
So
It was like a blue kind of.
Which-
I thought that too, Chris.
yeah. So you kind of have this weird sort of sensation that it could have been something between the table and the couch that was just shooting a flame up. But it seems like a high risk.
Right.
Like if I've got this idea for faking a ghost video, I'm going to burn my house down.
Right.
So I don't even know what to do with that information. It's again, if a Bible spontaneously combusts in your presence, the odds are good something terrible is happening.
Yes.
I would agree with that. And how to make it stop? Don't get rid of the Bible. First,
The Bible
off,
apparently withstood the
something,
flames,
yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
I suggest maybe reading aloud from the Bible.
yeah, and which could have mixed results.
You may spontaneously combust.
You might. Maybe just get a bunch of like Christian paraphernalia type stuff.
Yeah, this seems to be an entity that is directly affected
Yeah.
by Christian iconography, and so that could be your answer, is that you've got a spirit that is being very forceful with Christian artifacts, and if you bring more Christian artifacts, it may feel more pressure. Of course, sometimes when you push a spirit, it does push back. So it's a strange balancing act, really, when it comes down to it.
It's already setting the Bible on fire. So what more do you have to lose at this point?
Again, you may spontaneously combust.
My first thought about what to do in this situation is to look in the Bible and see if it's been desecrated in any way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
That was-
check
that
the
was my
Bible to
first.
see if there's some
That's
kind of indication
interesting.
within the Bible. Look for any addendums, like maybe somebody has written something in your Bible. Maybe there's some extra things in the Bible. Maybe the Bible is a part of the problem. Maybe there's some kind of desecration going on. So
Good point.
examine it. Find yourself some footholds to understand what might be happening. Unfortunately, because it is very innocuous as to what could be causing it,
Yeah.
that makes it very difficult to be prescriptive about what to do about it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, I don't think you should get rid of the Bible.
No.
I think you should, if anything, put it back on the shelf, see what happens.
Right. Now you have the ability to test, the boundaries that are being drawn by the Spirit. If the Spirit is, the Spirit might be trying to draw your attention to the Bible. The fact that the Bible didn't burn, didn't actually get harmed, it might be like, open it up
Open it up.
for crying out loud. I'm trying to tell you something.
I have
So,
the message.
Yeah, it very well could be a question of what is the messaging that the Spirit is trying to achieve.
And it also could be a red herring.
It
Could
very
be,
much
yeah.
could be a red herring.
Like, ooh,
Absolutely.
Bible, but
I mean,
it's
and that's
not
the
a demon at
hardest
all.
thing. Like, when asked the question, because people will talk about like, I've done home investigations. I've been a part of that whole thing, and they'll be like, so how did you help them? I was like, there's a lot. It's limiting. You can try to help them through the experience, but that doesn't mean you can just like, here's rub some sage, put some salt there, do this, do that, because there are so many variables that you don't know. You can't just understand automatically. And in some cases, the best you can do is be like, are you able to move?
Yeah.
Do you have the resources to get out? And I've had drawn fire for being that, because people were like, oh, so you just abandoned them. It's like, there's very little you can do in these circumstances. This belief that you can show up and fix people's spiritual issues, that's a hubris that I just do not possess. I can't imagine living in a world where I'd show up and know instinctively how to rid people of their problems. So it's a lot of times it's run, just run.
Which and there is credence to that too, where sometimes you can do everything that you can imagine, and still it's not going anywhere. And sometimes the only option you have is to just leave.
Yeah, and I've seen it far too many times fail or backfire or just return. That is one of the conditions. Is there's a big piece of the puzzle missing, and we can be as determined to force a spirit out. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't have the whole picture, you won't be able to sever every tie. You don't even know what every tie is, and so I think that there are people who are probably gifted that way. There are psychics who seem to have a keen knowledge of it. But even in those cases, I've seen many times the short-term effect seems to work, but over time, the spiritual entity seems to come back with a vengeance.
All right.
That's the tea on that.
Yep. So let's move on to the next one. And the next video, you're going to have a quick eye.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Saw him right away.
They're always in the hallway. It's like
Lurking hallway ghost.
Yeah. At first I was like, oh, it's an old lady. But then as I look more so at it, I'm like, it looks like Hobo Joe or whatever the
And I'll put
Hobo
one of the
clown is in the
conditions that I
museum.
always put on ghost sightings. Where's its feet?
Where are its feet?
Where are its feet? When the spirit has no feet, it is a ghost.
It is definitely
Something walking around without any feet.
It is definitely footless. What's
Footless
the
ghost.
the hobo clown in the museum named?
Charlie?
Charlie.
Yeah.
You know,
Give me Charlie vibes. Yeah.
Hobo Joe, Charlie. This is the same.
Oh, Joe, Charlie. That's not going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah, literally. But that's what he looks like at first to me.
Yeah, it just looks kind of like a disheveled, doddering man, in the hallway. But again, where's his feet?
Where are his
There's
feet?
actually a little backstory to this one. So Meg's posted, I've held on to this video for the last 6 years. We cannot explain what it is or where it came from. There's no explanation other than something paranormal. Comment if you want a story time. My brother's apartment was 100% haunted, but this is just the only thing that's ever been caught on camera.
Wow.
So.
Well,
We do want story time.
yeah, we want
That
a
sounds
story
good.
time.
Yes, ask for a story time.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if he had feet, I'd be like, oh, you have a squatter.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
just some guy.
Yeah.
That's just some guy in the hallway.
But
But without feet, it pretty much fits my definition of, oh, hell no.
yeah. But at the same time, it's like,
It's not a menacing ghost.
no. It's not like the uncanny ghost
No.
from the last episode.
It definitely seems like, and this is a weird thing to say, definitely seems like it belongs there.
Yeah.
It seems like, if anything, it's the spirit of the house. It came with the house. It lives in the house. It was just going out for groceries.
Yeah.
This is not, like a big oogity boogity moment. This is all right. You caught me. Big deal.
Yeah. Where like it doesn't, I don't even know if it looks like it's acknowledging them.
No,
It's
just going about its business.
yeah. And you just got so lucky
Right.
to see
Yeah.
it.
It's not
so
like
lucky.
staring down the hallway at you.
Yeah.
It's literally like doop 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 doop.
It's minding its business.
Going to the can.
If anything, it might not see them.
Yeah, very
Like-
likely. Just going about its daily existence and daily life without caring or knowing that you're there.
I like to feel like we do still have the Casper effect every once in a while where sometimes ghosts get scared of us.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
They're like, what are you doing here in my
It would
house?
totally freak a ghost out if it was like walking around and sees you like looking at a little box in your hand. You're like, what is happening?
Right. Like, why?
What is that in your hand?
It's like, especially.
Why won't you look up from it?
Can you imagine how scary that must be? You know, like if we saw somebody from the year like 4000 with some kind of technology, we'd be like, you're a nightmare. Like, what do you have?
He's shooting lasers into his face.
Like, why would you do that? That's probably how they feel.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some Camp Scott.
Yeah.
Locust
Camp
Grove,
Scott.
Oklahoma. And then if you make it to the end of
Oklahoma.
this episode, maybe you'll get a little Boykin time on the
Oh.
camera. I might let her,
people-
let her hop into a lap.
People enjoyed
There's some hippie
the Boykin
dog.
surprise the
Yes.
last time, but
Yes, everyone enjoys the Boykin surprise.
yes. So
That
So
is
if you're just listening to this podcast, suckers,
sorry, you gotta listen to the whole thing before you get Boykin.
and you won't be able to see the Boykin.
It's true. But all right, so Camp Scott,
Great Scott.
Great Scott. Otherwise, what I'm going to be calling it is Girl Scout Camp from Hell.
Oh, that's a good
Nice.
title. I actually might throw that on YouTube's.
Probably.
That's good.
Because that is what it is. It
Are there
is
any
a,
ghost stories of Camp Juliet Gordon Low, Camp Low, right here? We
would
we had
imagine
for a
there are.
long time Camp Low. I don't know. Is it still in operation? Do we know?
I don't
don't
think so.
Jinhee, my sister, was a camp counselor at Camp Low, and Jinhee was an amazing, like, all badges Girl Scout. And for those of you who do not know, my sister has one leg, and so having one leg, she would hop everywhere she went, and so her name as a counselor was Thumper.
Bruh.
Yeah, they called her Thumper
Wow.
because she bounced everywhere she went. She hopped everywhere she went.
Wow.
Well, at least she's a good sport about it.
Oh no, she loved it. That was awesome.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny though. It's yeah, I don't know of any stories out there. I'm sure though.
Oh no, I mean
It's
they
like-
they absolutely told the Girl Scouts
Yeah.
ghost stories out there.
Yeah.
But you can't have a camp without telling ghost
Oh
stories.
yeah.
You know, it just doesn't make sense to even go camping without ghost stories.
Oh yeah. It's always like, you know, something that comes out of the woods at night or
Oh, yeah.
watches you while you sleep.
There's a
or
special
it's
creature.
right. Or it's a camper that died there. and-
Around here, you could actually be like, there's an alligator that'll come up
True.
out of the swamps and
Like
eat
Lake
you.
Placid.
Yeah.
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 See, the Girl Scout camp I went to in Florida, that would have been a reality.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
unfortunately.
I went to a
So,
camp on Fort Stewart, Georgia, and there was an alligator in the lake
Yeah.
that we would swim, that we would not swim at, that we would fish at.
Oh yeah, they would take us tubing and stuff on the lake, and they're like, "Oh, there's alligators." I'm like, "I know, it's Florida. Every body of water is presumed to have an alligator until proven otherwise."
Yes.
Anyways,
Right, because we're getting saltwater alligators because
true.
of our brackish water. So now we've got alligators that will go out into the ocean and come back into the waters, the
I
inlets.
fished with one a couple days ago.
yeah,
That's why I'm so sunburnt.
swamp puppies.
I did. I was out in the bay and there was an alligator out there.
Yeah,
and
they're just like,
I was
"Ah,
catching redfish.
I can do
and I
it.
was like, geez.
You know, and it's just paddling along, and you're like, isn't this bad for you?
One would think.
Sorry, we have gone a little
I
off
know.
course. Tell us about
Yes,
this camp.
saltwater alligators.
Scott. Yeah,
All right, so
that's how far we went from Girl Scout camps to saltwater alligators.
cute. So the inciting incident that really made Camp Scott notorious. So Camp Scott is one of Oklahoma's most infamous cases, mostly because of the murders of Lori Farmer, Doris Denise Milner, and Michelle Gussie, or Gus. I'm not quite sure, but and it has haunted the Locust Grove community and beyond for decades. So the camp was first opened on August 11th, 1928, originally being called Camp Ma Del Co, and ran for just a 2-week period. So at that time, the cost to attend the camp was either $5 for the first 5 days or $9 for the entire 10 days, which I'm like, can you even imagine
Yeah.
that being the case nowadays? But the camp and the 240 acres, which is a massive piece of land in the middle of Oklahoma, that it sits on, were owned by the Tulsa Scout Council, which I'm assuming is like the local Girl Scout Council in Tulsa. There were a total of 20 buildings on the property at the time of opening, complete with plumbing and running water. Camp activities included swimming, CPR training, because what more fun could you have at Girl Scout camp than CPR training? Archery, pathfinding, bridge building, bird study, insect life, and leadership skills. But just a few short years later, it got the name Camp Scott. And it would keep this until and well after it was closed. But over the next nearly 5 decades, the camp hosted numerous events, including the Rancho Festival, Water Carnival, and the annual meeting of the Oklahoma Academy of Science. Despite it being a host for so many events that were prominent in the state, attendance for the actual camp remained relatively low, reaching a point of approximately only 100 participants at times. But in 1957 alone, the camp had a staggering 4,606 girls attending.
Oh, wow.
So you can only imagine, on 240 acres of land, having
That's
over
crazy.
4,000 children is insane.
I wonder if it was staggered.
Maybe. It might have been.
You know, like 6-week sessions and stuff like that.
That's what I would hope.
Or
But
3-week sessions.
in 1977, though, Camp Scott was celebrating its 49th year as a keystone of the Tulsa-based Magic Empire Girl Scout Council when tragedy struck. They didn't make it to the 50th anniversary.
I'd like to point out that there's a place in Oklahoma called the Magic Empire.
Yes. The Magic Empire Girl Scout Council.
Well, I imagine that, you know, the Tulsa area, kind of like
called
we
the
call
Magic Empire?
we call this place the Low Country. They're the Magic Empire.
Yeah.
I like that. Magic Empire.
Or we're called the Coastal Empire.
We are the Coastal Empire.
Which I've always found a bit, you know, a bit-
Imperial?
Yeah.
a
bit much.
little troubling. A little troubling.
A Magic Empire sounds a
A
lot
Magic
more
Empire,
fun.
yeah.
That sounds like Oz, you know?
Welcome to the Magic Empire.
But the incident that really made Camp Scott famous was this particular tragedy.
The tragedy.
Tragedy.
On June 12th, 1977, opening day of the camp for the summer, Girl Scouts from Tulsa and surrounding areas arrived at Camp Scott in Locust Grove, Oklahoma. One troop being the one that Tony Award-winning Kristen Chenoweth was actually a part of.
How fascinating.
Kristen Chenoweth was technically supposed to be here when this incident occurred,
Oh, wow.
but she was sick, so she wasn't permitted to attend the camp.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. We almost lost.
We almost lost Kristen
Kristen
Chenoweth at like 8 years old, and she was friends with all these girls.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, which I just thought was an interesting, if you're a theater nerd, that's an
Yes.
interesting tidbit. But all the girls that were attended the camp were assigned different platform tents. Now, if you don't know what a platform tent is, they are large canvas tents. They kind of look like teepees almost, like, but they're pitched semi-permanently on a raised wooden platform, sometimes with a tin roof or a tarp on top. And these tents can usually accommodate 4 to 6 people and feature zippers on both sides of the tent to close the inner flap, with ties to secure the outer and side flaps. While it's not possible to completely close the tent securely, platform tents offer a sturdier alternative to ground camping, hence why they would do that if they didn't have cabins.
Sure.
But similar to many Girl Scout camps, the tents at Camp Scott were organized into small campsites scattered throughout the camp. So each campsite had its own fire pit and related amenities. The campsites at Camp Scott were all named after various Native American tribes to distinguish them. That night at around 7 p.m., 3 girls piled into one tent due to a thunderstorm that was moving through the area. And among them were Lori Lee Farmer, who was 8 years old, Doris Denise Milner, who was 10, and Michelle Heather Gussie, who was 9. The girls were all residents of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, a suburb of Tulsa, and they were sharing tent number 7 in the camp's Kiowa unit. Kiowa was arranged in a horseshoe pattern with a campfire in a common area at its center. And on one end stood the counselor's tent. However, what set the Kiowa unit apart from the presence of another tent, numbered 8, which was situated farther away from the others and nestled into the woods, it was because it was slightly obscured from view by the shower building that was in that area. So that's important to note because that meant that the counselor's tent did not have a clear sight on the girls' tent. And like when you see photos of it, it definitely is, it doesn't look like you'd put a tent there. Let's just put it that way. It looks very wooded. But yeah, so however, when this particular rainstorm was going through, there wasn't a lot for the girls to do. So all 3 of the girls decided to write letters, and they were going to send them to their families, even though it was the first day of camp. And in the final letter from Lori Farmer, she wrote, "Dear Mom and Dad and Misty and Joe and Chad and Kathy, we're just getting ready to go to bed. It's 7:45. We're at the beginning of a storm and having a lot of fun. I've met 2 new friends, Michelle Gussie and Denise Milner. I'm sharing a tent with them. It started raining on the way back from dinner. We're sleeping on cots. I couldn't wait to write. We're all writing letters now because there's hardly anything else to do. With love, Lori." Which, if anything, Lori actually made that very easy for detectives to identify who the other children were. But in the middle of the night, though, on the early hours of June 13th, if you will, the counselor who was supposed to be supervising these girls, Carla Wilhite, heard a noise from outside of her tent. So she got out of her cot and went to investigate. She began to hear a guttural moan that sounded like it was coming from the main road that ran through camp. After a thorough search, she concluded that it was likely just an animal and returned to bed. Around 6 a.m., on her way to the shower house the next morning, Wilhite stumbled upon a horrific scene. This marked the beginning of a decades-long nightmare as investigators tirelessly seek to unravel the clues surrounding the heinous crimes committed at Camp Scott, which, by the way, this is technically a cold case, but there's some caveats.
It's a cold case?
There's some caveats. We'll explain.
Okay.
So this, basically, she discovered a girl's body in her sleeping bag in a wooded area just outside of the tent area. And it was later revealed that all 3 girls from tent number 7 had gone missing. So as counselors commenced their search, they found that the girls from tent number 7 had been brutally murdered. Their 2 bodies were found inside a sleeping bag, crumpled towards the bottom, while 1 body was visible on the outside.
Jeez.
I know. And they had been left on a trail leading to the showers approximately only 150 yards from their tent. Now, a large red flashlight was also discovered on top of the sleeping bag. There was a smudged fingerprint that was found on a lens of one of the girls' glasses, but it has never been identified due to its smudged condition, which prevented a positive identification. Additionally, a footprint from a 9.5 size shoe was found in blood in the tent. And apparently, this occurred anywhere between 2:30 and 3 a.m., and around that same time general area, a landowner who lived by the camp reported hearing quite a bit of traffic on a remote road near the camp. And prior to the murders, Camp Scott experienced suspicious activity that raised red flags. And of course, after this incident, Camp Scott was evacuated and later shut down permanently.
Wow.
And so these were the unsettling warnings, though. So less than 2 months before the murders, during an on-site training session at Camp Scott, a counselor discovered that her belongings had been ransacked and her donuts that she had brought from home had been stolen. And inside the empty donut box, she had found a few pieces of tiny steno notebook paper with strange and threatening words written on them. On 2 or 3 pages was just the word kill repeatedly written over and over again.
Ooh.
Written on the 4th page was something even more threatening. And the handwriting was all in capital letters, and it read, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls in one tent." The camp director...
What the what?
I know. And so...
Ain't no psychopath like a 70s psychopath.
Literally.
Right, though.
Literally.
I mean, come on.
Right.
Literally.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And the camp
He
director...
Babe Ruthed it. He was like, I'm calling my shot.
You literally...
sure
3 girls in one tent. Oh, jeez.
Well, and the crazy thing is the camp director, this is also very 70s of them, looked into it and later learned that they think it was a group of girls at the camp that weekend that supposedly confessed to doing this particular prank. And because summer camps are rife with ghost stories and such, the note was assumed to be a prank and was just discarded.
So they pulled a Jaws, right? The mayor
Yes.
is like, Amityville's fine.
Yes.
Amity Beach is clear. Open the beach. There's no shark that said it's going to eat 3 girls in a tent.
And there was, but it wasn't a shark. And he might actually be a Wendigo, in my opinion.
Possibly, but
Yeah.
honestly, it's in my experience, Wendigos do not call forward.
That's true.
They don't leave notes being like, coming to get you, Wendigo.
That's true.
This was a serial killer.
Well,
This was a serial killer.
let me
And
explain
what's
why
worse
I
is-
say that.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
There's an excellent chance that this person went on to kill many times more. Anyway,
Well,
we'll listen to the rest of the
I'm over
story.
here thinking, is this like the Memphis 3 killer or
no,
something?
you'll understand why I say what I say.
No, okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
okay.
she's withholding information.
I am withholding information you don't know yet. So,
Information.
So after deploying tracking dogs, the police believed that they had discovered the murder weapon on June 16th, which they publicly unveiled was a crowbar.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And although no suspects for the Camp Scott murders had been officially identified, the press had already speculated that an escaped convict named Gene Leroy Hart might be involved.
Not the old 3-named killer.
Always. They always
Gene
have 3 names.
Leroy Hart.
And it's usually
Yes.
Lee.
Yeah,
As the
there's a
middle
Lee
name.
Yes.
somewhere in there.
Well, it was Leroy this time.
Leroy.
But- so Gene Leroy Hart was a member of the Cherokee Nation, and Hart earned himself the nickname the Sandman for his alleged skills in shape-shifting.
What?
Yes. That was like
No.
his known skill.
I remember the Sandman. Is this... keep going.
Okay. Yes. So he was known as the Sandman within the Cherokee Nation. And so it was believed Hart was able to pull off crimes and stay hidden from authorities for as long as he did because he was able to shapeshift. And so Gene Leroy Hart had been at large since 1973 after escaping from the Mays County Jail. And so he had been convicted of kidnapping and essaying 2 pregnant women and was charged with 4 counts of first-degree burglary. That was originally what he went to jail for. But during the investigation, police had also found a cave about a few miles away that appeared to have been inhabited. Inside the cave, they discovered eyeglasses stolen from Camp Scott, duct tape that matched the tape found at the scene, a flashlight battery, and 2 photographs featuring 3 women that investigators linked to Hart. The cave was situated a few hundred feet from a cellar and foundation that had been Gene Hart's childhood home. And on the wall of another nearby cave, a message was written, and I quote, "The killer was here. Bye-bye, fools. 77-6-17. And
Ooh.
so people think that was the date that he...
Okay, I can see where you're getting Wendigo a little bit.
June 17th. It's
Yeah.
more shapeshifter than Wendigo.
Yeah.
I think
But-
once you go Wendigo, you don't really have the options
don't
of
go
coming
back.
back.
That's true. That's
It's not
fair.
like a werewolf.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But a skinwalker
Yeah.
definitely has the ability to live
You know-
live as a human during the day.
You know, that actually could make a lot of sense, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so Gene Hart was actually raised about a mile from Camp Scott, and Hart was arrested within a year when he was at the home of a Cherokee medicine man, and somebody reported him being there.
Sure.
So he was represented by Garvin A. Isaacs, a local Oklahoma attorney. Hart's trial took place in March of 1979. Despite the local sheriff's 1,000% certainty of Hart's guilt, a local jury acquitted him. As a convicted felon and jail escapee, Hart still had 305 years of his 308-year sentence left to serve
There you go.
in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. So they weren't that pressed.
So regardless, yeah.
Before Hart was apprehended, detectives reportedly kept seeing a black dog in the woods that would frequently follow them places and then mysteriously disappear. And so a lot of people like to think that the black dog was actually Gene Hart, and that was his shape-shifting persona.
Ooh.
Sure.
And
sure.
he was just following the
It's
cops.
always like a black dog or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it can be a lot of different things, but black dogs are definitely not uncommon among shapeshifters.
Wolves and coyotes and the like. Crazy.
Yeah, super crazy. And so, but on June 4th, 1979, 2 years after the murders, Hart collapsed and succumbed to a heart attack at the age of 35.
Oh.
The incident occurred after approximately an hour of lifting weights and jogging in the prison exercise yard. And then in 1989, DNA testing was conducted that showed 3 of the 5 probes that were tested matched Hart's DNA. However, though statistically, DNA from 1 in 700 indigenous people would likely obtain these results. So there is that. But in 2008, authorities conducted a new DNA testing on stains found on a pillowcase, and the result of which proved inconclusive because the samples were too deteriorated to obtain a DNA profile. But then in 2017, $30,000 in donations were raised by the sheriff in order to utilize updated DNA technology, which in 2022, authorities made public that DNA evidence strongly suggests Hart's involvement. So the Girl Scout murders are still technically an unsolved case today because technically he was not convicted.
He was acquitted, yeah, right.
I mean, come on.
But everybody...
But it seems as though we've got an answer.
But it's kind of like the Jack the Ripper situation where it's like technically we can't 100% say, yeah, that was him. But like,
that was him.
That was him. And so Sheriff Mike Reed of Mays County said, unless something new comes up, something brought to light we are not aware of, I am convinced I'm sitting of Hart's guilt and involvement in this case. Now, when it comes to the hauntings, investigators report seeing shadowy figures because also I should mention this is technically a private property. And I found this like really jank website of ghost hunters, like a forum where people, you know, like talk about like random places that
where
they
they've
go
been
to.
And,
And somebody said that the property is technically privately owned, and that the owners are friendly, but not that friendly.
Sure.
So I do not condone this, but they recommended going hiking out there and pretending like
and getting lost.
They got lost
Sure.
and accidentally stumbled on the property.
Conceivably, you should be able to make it to the cave.
Yeah, you probably could. And so
the pair junkies and I are in the comments right now, like devising a new shirt.
A Wendigo shirt.
Once you
When
go,
you go
it's
Wendigo.
gonna say once you go Wendigo, and then Alex said it's got to be a ripped Wendigo with sunglasses, looking like hey with one eyebrow up.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's ridiculous. But
It's so good.
A lot of investigators who have gone out to the property report seeing shadowy figures of young girls darting between trees in the woods, along with glowing orbs, particularly near the old tent sites and shower trails. Campers and explorers who are in the area frequently recount hearing disembodied whispers, giggling, and distant screams in the heavily wooded area late at night. And before the 1977 murders, the land had already had a dark history tied to the Cherokee Trail of Tears and the Battle of Locust Grove during the Civil War. So there's already paranormal energy.
Oh, yeah.
More than likely. But many believe this compounding tragedy basically trapped lingering and unsettled spirits on the property. And many people believe Hart was the dog that detectives were seeing and that he might still be roaming the woods.
Ooh.
And
Sure.
several people who have visited.
Well, that's what I was thinking about. Dead at 35 is suspicious,
Right?
Especially during exercise, but transcending, especially if you have some shamanistic abilities. He could have just left his skin behind, and gone off to be a spirit creature.
I mean, I would not put it past him, and especially because that is a thing that you hear a lot in any kind of indigenous lore, is that certain people have certain gifts. And if he was well known for being a shapeshifter, there's some credence in that, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Of course, that's how he was escaping. He was just, gonna
Because
just shift on over.
There's shape-shifting, and then there's also like possessing animals, having familiars.
Yeah.
And they go hand in hand. There's a lot of cross referencing that kind of thing. So it's very possible that, if you're looking at the story as, well, he was a shapeshifter who was then, locked in with no sign of escape, he could have just taken his consciousness and put it out there into, the closest, nearest, familiar.
And that's probably pretty accurate.
Oof.
And so several people who have visited the property in recent years still report seeing a mysterious dog roaming the area. And yes, it is black. And the campgrounds that are abandoned and privately owned do strictly enforce trespassing, just so you know.
Yeah. Don't go looking.
If you try to go out there looking for Gene Hart in his cave.
I'm pretty sure that Oklahoma trespassing carries with it some steep gunshots.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I think that's so fascinating because you don't hear that a lot. And I know that was technically a little bit more true crime heavy, but I do.
Except for the Sandman bit,
Right.
Because I remember coming across that story before of, and it must have been the story of a criminal who was believed to be this Native American who could shapeshift. And it was just like, oh, that's really, lock that away. And the main reason why was because it was mentioned in court.
Yes.
Because there are court records where people went, on the record to say, oh, yeah, he's a shapeshifter. And you're like, what do we do with this information?
Right.
I'm not sure that's even against the law. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. But
yeah, because all they can technically get him for is evading police,
Right.
outside of his already
his crimes.
present crimes. But yeah, all they could do is evading police and escaping prison because they can't be like, well, because you shapeshifted into
Right.
a fly.
we don't care how you did it.
Yeah,
you did it.
You still did it. And so but you very rarely hear that with crimes, that is a part of the
investigation.
Where you're dealing with somebody who is naturally supernatural.
It might be time for us to revisit too, because there was a time, I think in our second season, where we had kind of somehow gotten onto the trail of all the missing Indigenous women.
Yes.
And that there was a story about, it seemed like a werewolf story, right?
Yes.
That we had kind of stumbled on. And again, big black dog, right? Or big black canine being and these missing Indigenous women. And it's like, we kind of, this podcast moves so fast that we were always gaining new stories that we didn't spend a lot of time revisiting, but that might be worth a revisit.
That actually could be a very interesting Summerween revisit.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
Because that is very interesting. I wonder, it could be Gene Hart. Who knows?
Could be Gene Hart. Could be. You don't know.
Not to say that there aren't other indigenous shapeshifters out there that could also be black dogs.
Or again, asking the question: is there some ritualistic value to murdering three females? Is there something going on where these entities need to satisfy some kind of offering to dark forces, gods, whatever,
so that they can have
this
immortality or whatever it is.
Because the power does not come for free.
No, it never does. And apparently it's surprise time. So instead, we don't have a little black dog, but we do have a little brown dog. Isla! Yay! Isla is here. Yes. Okay, there she is. It's a Boykin surprise.
Boykin surprise.
Oh, there she is. Oh, little brown dog
Little
for
brown
you.
dog. Everybody love a good little brown dog. Oh, with a pretty
there she
face.
is.
What a pretty face. Look at that face. Such a face. Ah.
She's like, I like.
Nom, nom.
She's like, I want to be a shapeshifter when I grow up.
No, this is the best shape.
This is the best.
You don't want to
shape.
shift away from that.
No. Well, there that goes.
There's I bet. It's okay, I'll get it.
Yeah. I mean, if you were put into this shape, this is all you'd want to be. But yes, if you enjoyed the Boykin surprise, make sure you like and comment and subscribe and do all the buttons and things like that. It'll make her very happy. But all right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening or watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. And just as I said last time, if you have a place that is summer weenie type vibes that you would like us to cover this summer, comment it down below and let us know what you would like to hear about. But with that, my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And stay spooky, y'all.